one of the things that we've seen is how at different times the various popes have spoken about the grace of the Holy Spirit, beginning with Pope John the 23rd and moving right through to Pope Francis today. So we have many different comments from the different popes about the Catholic Charismatic Renewal. Pope Benedict was supportive of us as a movement and thought that we'd got a great contribution to bring to the church, particularly in the area of helping people to understand and be more open to the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Pope Francis is encouraging us to spread the grace of the baptism in the Holy Spirit. So I think the church is very accepting of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal, and I think as a move of the Spirit we have a responsibility to ensure that we continue to grow in ecclesial maturity, that we are part of the church, and we always want to be seen to be working in communion with the church in all aspects of the grace of the Holy Spirit that's been poured out upon us. A Life in the Spirit seminar is usually a 6-session program whereby many people throughout the world have entered into this experience of the baptism in the Holy Spirit. It's basically a proclamation of the gospel, the kerygma, the good news, beginning by speaking about God, who is a God of love, by reflecting on our response to God's love, touching on things like the fall, sin, salvation, and then the life, the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And the highlight of the Life in the Spirit seminar is that each participant is able to receive the prayer for the baptism in the Holy Spirit in their lives. When people participate in the Life in the Spirit seminar, their faith becomes alive because the program itself is a proclamation of the good news, and when the good news is proclaimed, there is power. It's also an invitation for people to be open to receive that touch of the Lord in a personal way in their life. They need to decide whether they want this in their life, but people who really enter into the Life in the Spirit seminar often experience a conversion moment. It's different for different people because we all have different lives. For many people, it's a time when they can look back and say, something significant began in my life from that Life in the Spirit seminar. For others, it's more of a deepening experience. Recently, the Holy Father has encouraged the Charismatic Renewal to spread the grace of the baptism in the Holy Spirit. And I think he did that because he sees that one of the most important things that we can do as church is to be open more and more to the grace of the Holy Spirit. I'm not saying that the Charismatic Renewal has a monopoly on the Holy Spirit, but it is at the heart of our movement. And in a parish, if people who are involved in the Charismatic Renewal are able to have a prayer group and encourage parishioners to go deeper in prayer, maybe reflecting on the scriptures, if we're also able to regularly run Life in the Spirit seminars and then engage in works of the Spirit such as evangelization, if I were a parish priest, I'd be ready to welcome this in my parish because it leads to life. I think a key message for everybody really is do not be afraid. We all have a sense of thinking that things are better when we can control them. And maybe for pastors, I understand the responsibility that people face as leaders of faith communities. But I think that if it's done in the correct way, the Catholic Charismatic Renewal can be of a great benefit to a parish community. When the renewal works as it should, it's always subjected to the working in obedience to the local parish priest, to the local pastor, to the local bishop. So in that sense, there's nothing to be afraid of, but sometimes I know that from a pastor's point of view, it does take a courageous move to say, you're welcome, let's all allow ourselves to be led by the Holy Spirit. I think one of the graces of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal is this ecumenical dimension, that we were birthed from a grace that was present in many different denominations, a Pentecostal grace, as in the grace of Pentecost. And so many other Christian denominations have experienced charismatic renewal. And I think one of the things that Pope Francis is highlighting is the contribution that we can make to what he is calling spiritual ecumenism, which is slightly different to ecumenism that might be worked out at a doctrinal level or at a more formal level of different dialogues that exist between the Vatican and various denominations. In spiritual ecumenism, we're simply recognizing each other as brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, and we're sharing together in that common spirit, in being able to pray together and to acknowledge the same God. So I think that we've got a responsibility, birthed in this Pentecostal grace, to work towards this spiritual ecumenism that Pope Francis is encouraging.